Hey everybody, Captain Dave Schneider. It's a guide's life, and it's a good one. Hey, I'm just back from my little hiatus down up in Orlando. I apologize I didn't send any video from there. I don't want to bore you with all the crappy details, but I did kind of run into a little bit of a snafu. I peaked my audio with the wind, and it became really just almost unusable. So, having said that, here I am. I'm home. I had a guide trip today. Actually, I had a little situation. I didn't do a very good job of communicating with the marina that I had a guide trip, and I take full responsibility for that. And so consequently, when I went in at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock today, it was going to be a shiner trip. I had two young 15-year-olds from Massachusetts. Shout out to Tristan and Josh. I had those boys in the boat today. I've actually got a little bit of video that I'll share with you here shortly on that. But I'll probably finish up the video with that stuff. But anyway, just as a quick update on the guide trip, we actually caught, they caught 18 fish. They had 18 fish. The biggest one came on a swimming worm. Tristan nailed it. It came on a swimming worm. It was almost 6 pounds. That's an unofficial weight. It was right between 5.5 and 6 pounds. I'm pretty good at telling the weights of the fish under 7 pounds. But when it gets over 7, 7s look like 9s. 8s look like 10s, 10s look like 7s. It's hard. And I've heard other fishermen say that before. Of course, I had no reference point because I'd never been around fish that size. But I obviously have now. So, but we caught a couple nice fish, and we had a really nice time. We got a 4-hour trip. But what I was going to shiner fish in the Clewiston area. The shiner fishing is very good in Clewiston right now. But the artificial bite's a little bit tough. The fish are really in transition, and truthfully, I haven't found them very well or very good here. But up in Harney Pond, I'm flat out on them. And you saw the Friday trip with 31 fish, including a great big one. A 715, as a matter of fact, is a great big one. A big McHugs. Had 2 McHugs on that trip, but that's in the previous video. And I don't want to live on my laurels here. Every day we go out, we got to catch them all over again. But having said that, we did. But I had an interesting adjustment to make today, which leads me to what I want to talk about. Oh, before I jump in, shout out to TK. TK Fishing, my brother. He asked about a comment that I made about not putting your hand on the belly of a fish. And I wanted to ask, or he asked about whether or not there was a reason, like is it because their fish are spawning and you shouldn't handle them by their belly or whatnot. But I'm going to tell you very straightforward. When you're taking a picture of a big fish, if you put a hand up underneath its belly, it really detracts from the picture. To be very honest with you, you don't get the picture of fish in its full scope and its size. Look at like Bassmaster Magazine when they have their lunker room or lunker report, and you'll see guys holding their fish, and a lot of times the fish doesn't look like it weighs 9 pounds or 8 pounds or 10 pounds. And it's because of how you handle it. So that's the first consideration, is just from a photographic standpoint. But probably more important than that is every time you put your hand on a fish that you've caught, every place you touch it, you're removing slime coat with your hands and the oils on your hands. I've actually seen fish where you could see a handprint on the fish in the live well. That's a fact. And so you want to protect their slime coat a little bit, and the less you touch them, the better. But also, on a spawning fish, I do believe you don't want to stress her abdomen too much. Now, I do know about the argument about, boy, if you hold it and you invert their mouth, you can bust their jaws on a really big fish, and that's true. So be mindful of that when you got a fish over 10 pounds. Be really careful. Don't wrench it up by its head because you can cause some damage to their mouth and jaw like that. But that's the rationale there, TK. Thanks for the question. Viewers, for God's sakes, guys, give me questions. I would love to answer them anytime, and I appreciate that one. But simply put, you don't want to put your hands all over a fish. Now, you'll notice, too, that a lot of times I just have them to hook the fish behind the anal fin in front of the tail and hold the fish like that, hooked underneath the tail with one finger showing, and then hold the mouth. And I think that does the fish a lot of justice so that you can appreciate just how big they are. And that's why we do it that way. So I hope that answers your question, TK. Again, thanks for the question. But it did lead me into this. Today's fishing... And I actually had a call. I had a viewer, a subscriber, call me and ask me some questions about the best time what kind of baits to use in the early season when the water's 45 to 55 degrees. And I'm going to tell you, I love crankbaits. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I hope you can hear that. I do love crankbaits, guys, and I think that crankbaits are fantastic. Now, let's talk a little bit about which size you want to use and when. And I'm working with my equipment here. It's making a funny noise or doing some funny things here. But in any case, I want to talk crankbaits for a minute. Now, when I carry crankbaits, I usually will put 3 rods on the deck, sometimes 4 for cranking. And I'm always going to start with a deep diving crankbait. Now, I've got a bomber here. I love these bomber baits. I like them a lot, actually. But this bomber bait is a great way to catch these fish. This one here will run down about 8 to 10 feet. And that's where I start. I like to have a bait that runs 8 to 12 feet, something in that area. And I like a bomber in particular. I love it in smallmouth waters. I love it in largemouth waters, and what have you. The next bait I'm going to have on is something that'll dive down about 5 or 6 feet. For that, I really like square bills. That mid-range bait. I've got 2 different kinds here. I've got one that has rattles in it and one that does not. And frankly, if I'm fishing in an area where I'm dealing with dirtier water, I'll throw a bait that's got a rattle in it. If the water's cleaner and a little more, and a little more bright, then I'll go with a bait that doesn't have a rattle in it. So that's kind of this is my mid-range crankbait that I like to throw. Now I've also got a square bill. I like this one here, and I'm selling baits here now, I guess, but I like this one. This is a Spro crankbait. It only dives about 3 feet. 1 to 3 feet. You say, well, geez, Captain, what do you mean 1 to 3 feet? One of the ways you can accomplish a shallower depth is just a heavier monofilament line. 17, 20-pound monofilament. This thing will only run probably a foot and a half. But it'll run down to 3 feet, and then finally, I'll go not finally, but next. That 1 foot range, 0 to 1 foot, I love me a man's -1 crankbait. These things dive about a foot. They are just a spectacular bait. They have accounted for more bass for me personally in my live well when it comes to crankbait in shallow water. This is a great pre-spawn and post-spawn bait. And a lot of times, which one do you use, which one do you not use? A lot of it just depends on the cover. If I will throw this one around the grass, especially if the grass is just coming up when that water's colder. Again, we're talking about water temperatures from 40 to 55 degrees. The key thing, guys, is when you throw these baits, a lot of times you make casts, you catch fish, you keep making that same cast. A lot of times you'll catch multiple fish making the same cast with these crankbaits. And then the last bait that I want to show you is the one that remember, I've been down to 12 feet. I just showed you a bait that'll run about 5 to 6 or 7 feet, depending on the line. I just showed you one that runs from 1 to 3 feet, and then I just showed you one that runs about a foot. This one runs about 3 inches or less, and I usually want to work it in the less. It's called a man's waker. Now, I've talked to some people about this, and they're like, a waker? I've never heard of that. This is not one that man's is really known for necessarily, but it looks just like a -1. But this little mama jamma here, I'm telling you, will flat out catch them in super shallow water. Hydrilla almost to the top. You got a few hydrilla stems sticking up tonight. This is how we caught almost all of our fish tonight on our trip. It was just like this. In fact, we even got us some schoolers on this bait at the end of the night. This particular one's all white on the bottom, got a little purple on top, and it's a fantastic bait. Anytime I want to get a crankbait or cover water. And I'll tell you, and I don't think the young men will mind me saying this, one of the reasons I went to a treble hooked bait for them was because they were having some trouble setting the hook on the swimming worm. And it's like anything I tell guys, if you haven't done something before and you can work it out to where you catch a fish or two, it's like you own that presentation or that technique. But we couldn't get to where we owned it very well. Having said that, in Tristan's defense, he caught his big fish, and I'll show you that again in a minute here, but he caught his big fish. In fact, maybe right in this area right here, maybe I'll put up a picture of his big fish right here. In fact, let's see if I can get my hands right here. And I see right here, right here is that picture. Hopefully I do that. I'm trying to fit it in there. But anyway, he caught his big fish on a swimming worm. But we went to the topwater bait, and thankfully they ate it, and so it just became simple fish, and you chunk that thing out there. crank it. I like to make it so that it just stays just right at the surface and just clack, 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 like any other topwater bait, but they got after it. And so I'm very pleased about that. So guys, that's what I wanted to show you about crankbaits. I wanted to respond to TK's question about how you hold the fish. And from here, guys, I'm going to just throw up some video. I've got just probably a minute or two of video from the trip tonight, particularly that section where we got them on schoolers when we were leaving Harney Pond. So anyway, I hope you enjoy that. This is Captain Dave Schneider. It's a guide's life. It's a great life. Oh, hey, make sure that you're going to the video that says 1,600 subscribers. Me with the blue hoodie. And I look like got a kind of a crazy blue eye kind of a look in my. Go to that video. Make sure that you're looking at that video, and that's where you've got to follow the directions and write a little something in the comments specifically there. Watch the video. That's how you register for my 1,600 subscriber giveaway. The rod and reel, the big flipping stick, and the used reel. It's a used rod and reel, but it's in the rod's brand new basically, and the reel is very functional. So anyway. We're getting close to that. We're down to about 40 or 45 subscribers, and I'm going to be handing that thing out. So, hey, don't forget about that. Guys, you're doing such a great job. Thank you so much for checking me out and watching the videos. I hope you enjoy this one. I hope you enjoy the information. We'll get you out on the water here for the last 2 or 3 minutes. It's a guide's life. Captain Dave Schneider. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Guys, this is Captain Dave Schneider. It's a guide's life. Just finishing up the day here with young Tristan and his good friend Josh. We're just pulling up here we're just getting done. We're out here in Harney Pond, and we're pulling up into the ditch here, and I'm hoping to get a couple more fish. I'm hoping to get a couple of fish on camera. The fish started schooling right here in the middle of this cut, and it was just bam, 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 real quick here. I'll show you some pictures of some of the fish that we caught today. Tristan caught a real nice one earlier, about 5.5 pounds. But it's been good. We've had what, 17? I think that was 17. Yeah. The one that we just caught was number 17. But we're just gonna we're gonna roll this for a second here just to see if we can get another one here. Oh, yeah. You want it? Yeah. Just kind of work it steady like you were before, guys. Boy, the wind is really howling too. It's blowing harder now than it was when we first came out. Oh, there he is. Right here. There he is. Very good job. Cast out there, man. Get it out there. Get it out there. All right, there. That's good. That's good. Let's get that big head up here. Come on, baby. Let's get that fish up here. Come on, baby. There it is. I'm gonna have to get this hook out. I gotta set my camera down. So. One more. There's always time for one more. We're just throwing a topwater waking bait here. You know, it's not a secret for anybody who's fished with me a lot. I love these little waker baits that man makes. And this is actually something we've scored on quite a bit tonight. You just kind of, you're walking along on the surface. Well, we're going to put a head on this thing. It's Captain Dave Schneider. It's a guide's life.
Second and 6.
Get to him! That's our ball. That's our ball! Oh, it's open.